Inshallah, just divert your minds towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rectify your intentions, and hopefully we'll then start if everything. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. اللهم يا ربي بجاه نور وجهك الكريم وبفضلك العظيم اجمع بيننا وبينك في الدنيا قبل الآخرة. اللهم يا ربي بجاه سيدنا محمد ابن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم اجمع بيننا وبين سيدنا محمد ابن عبد الله في الدنيا قبل الآخرة. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا إله إلا الله. محمد رسول الله. لا إله إلا الله. محمد رسول الله. لا إله إلا الله. محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم. الله 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 محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي جنتي. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Slowly, if you like to just traverse, come back to bring your spirit back to your consciousness and yourself. And inshallah, we'll take some feedback. And today, inshallah, we'll take some feedback from brothers who don't normally relate anything, or they're too shy, they hide away behind the cameras or the walls. So those, if you're in there, if you're not in my sight, most likely you'll be chosen. And if you're in my sight, good luck, well done. So really, the whole objective of these feedback is to actually to see if what you're doing is actually, if there's any obstacles, if there are any issues, then to try and address that. And also to make sure that you yourself are familiar, and then hopefully get some guidance from it as well, benefit, we can all benefit from it as well. So inshallah, this Brother Tasham, you can start inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before when we were doing the amals, I started the lataif, but when I closed my eyes, I immediately saw that I was with brothers and with Hazrat Sahib, and we were on a very, very fast train, and I felt the pressure, and I found it quite difficult, the speed we were going at. And one of the brothers stood up and mentioned that we are going to travel just in a few moments, a number of years in this short journey. And then when the train stopped, some brothers got off first, and then I saw Hazrat Sahib, they got off after them, and some brothers got off after Hazrat Sahib, and then another train come from another direction, and an old elderly man came out, and brothers were kissing their hands, and when they saw Hazrat Sahib, they went towards their feet, but Hazrat Sahib stopped them. And then
who did they stop? Can you just make it
this Buzurg, this old man, because they didn't like it. And then they put Hazrat Sahib like on a wheelchair and pushed them, and we all pushed them, and I saw myself in a new scene. We were in a beach, but Hazrat Sahib were on a horse going very fast, and we were on the horse. And then I imagined, or I saw brothers on the beach that were in Bangladesh at the moment in Jamaat, they were there. So it felt like to me that we were in that country as well. And then I can vaguely remember, but I was losing concentration, but I vividly saw Hazrat Sahib in various places. But near the end, what I can just remember was then brother also shook me as well, but I imagined like it was like time of death for me, and like a tunnel opened, and there was a light, and there was someone holding my arm, but then the clouds started to change to like very dark. So I was about to recite the kalima, so that I knew that maybe that was the best thing to recite at the time of death. And then brother shook my leg and woke me up, the brother on my left, and then the vision hasn't ended.
These are different aspects of some people are traveling at different speeds in terms of their spiritual journey that they take. Some brothers will be going at different speeds, and then people are dropping off at different places in different makams and different stations. That's what you've been shown. And then one of the things that one should actually, some etiquettes that to bear in mind, and about following of one's guide and following one's teacher, is that whatever you're in the journey, to follow them, even the physical journey I'm talking about, when they're physically here and they're spiritually, whatever you're saying, is that never precede one's teacher, one's guide. Always actually be the one to follow. Meaning that a part of etiquette is that the sheikh should be, your teacher should be the one to be, for example, if there's a place to sit, you should give preference to where they sit. If there's a place to, whenever there's something available to eat, you should give preference to them to actually eat that. So, when, for example, in the journey you see in the train, is that some brothers got up before Hazrat, is that you make sure that what really should have happened is that the teacher goes after, then you follow the teacher. What is indication that maybe there is a lacking of following, that one should be following wherever the teacher is actually going, rather than yourself proceeding and then thinking, maybe this is where we're going to go, maybe this is what they'll do. We'll try to be a bit, we use our conscious brain and mind, this is what they'll do, so we'll do this and we'll do that. Etiquette is let the sheikh, give a preference to the sheikh and the teacher, and then actually follow them in terms of whatever they do, not actually conjuring up something from ourselves and then present that to the teacher and they will then advise. The personality you have seen most likely Sayyidina Abdul Barhullah, and this is actually, they're actually showing us, me and you, how we should actually, going down the feet is a sign of submission. So the teacher is, that's our beloved teacher, Shaykh is Sayyidina Abdul Barhullah. And Sayyidina Abdul Barhullah is showing me and you how you should be with your teacher. How we should submit and fall to their feet. In order to fall to their feet is a sign of submission. You should be submitting. And the reality, haqiqatan of the sheikh is that a sign of come to their feet is obviously, that's their sheikh, that's their guide. They would not want that. How come we should never want this, and we should never think it is. This is how the reaction should be. No, but what they're trying to show me and you is we should submit. Sometimes it takes others to show us, me and you, what should we do. But they're showing me and you that we are not submitting, we should be submitting. And the pushing on the wheelchair is really that basically the mission is that we should be helping and driving the message and the teaching of our beloved teacher, of the mission and the message that they have. We should be pushing it. Why is Sayyidina Abdul Barhullah showing me and you that we should be pushing? We should be the one pushing the message across to the four corners of the world. But because of our lacking, that's whatever it comes to. And so basically, and then the last bit where you're saying about death and the kalima, you're seeing darkness. It is true, and it's a good thing that you're thinking, because whenever darkness, whenever sin, whenever you think you're alone, really reality is whenever you're alone and you're about to sleep, that is when the reality of yourself actually comes. There's no pretense, or there's no... This is when you really know you are who you are. Time when you're sleeping, even your wife is next to you, or even if you're not married and single, irrespective of whoever you are, when you're at that time, when you're about to close your eye, at the time of sleeping, that is the thing. If you really ponder and think and then go by, that is who you really are. You know your amals, you know your deeds, you know your thing. And it's a good thing that you're thinking is that you're thinking this may be it. It is it. It could be it. Who knows? But the good khayalats, in other words, is that when a person is alone, when a person is, for example, time to depart, or in other words, is that when a person at the time of death, and also a person needing any time, any moment really, the death is coming upon us. Is that remembering Allah and doing the kalimat is a sign, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, think of Him. That is when actually really our true salvation will lie, and pray and keeping the hope and mercy of Allah. So not to be going on suppression, thinking, remember brother. No, that time you have the mercy, door of mercy, and hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. That should overwhelm and dominate oneself, and doing the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, another indication that we can get from this is that when the darkness of sin is actually overwhelming you, and you've been overwhelmed with desires and sins, and this lonely darkness of the dark clouds is signifying the sins, And this loneliness, i.e., you've disconnected yourself from brothers, spiritual brothers, from gatherings, from the path, from amals and deeds. One, the ways is the best ways. For example, what happened? The thought. You said the thought came to reside. Good khiyalas. Allah SWT never leaves a person, like you heard from the Monday Bayan, Professor Shabir, is that Allah SWT is always communicating with me and you. He never wants to harm or destroy us, really. So the good khiyalat is that He's always putting good khiyalat through the angels and through brothers and through other things, good khiyalat. So really the thought is that act upon that good thought. If you're doing a sin, don't think I'm in such zulmat. If you are gone far away of the course or gone far away from the gathering, gone so far away of Hazasab and the brothers and thinking, how can I perform? No. Good thought is there. If the good thought is go to the gathering, then go. If the good thought is do your dhikr, then do it. If the good thought is offer your prayer, then do it. If the good thought is, for example, do some dhikr or something, through the barakah and the blessing of the good thought, other good things will arise from it as well. So don't give in and then lose hope. No, have hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whichever predicament you're in, He is the one who could remove you from all those predicaments. He can show you a way, clear a way, and make it good for you. And even at the time of death, if a person is at the time of even then, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make it all good for you. It's only He who can actually help you. Jazakallah khairan. But there should be, please. Keep them close because that's the natural. Allah SWT says, for example, is that He's created the night for a reason so that we can, at daytime is for work and night time is for rest. And that's a blessing in itself, so that by having it being night, we find it easier to rest, our eyes don't find difficulties, it finds it easier to close eyes. Hence why we turn the lights off. There are people who, alhamdulillah, whether their eyes open or whether their eyes closed, they can still transfer and they can see and they're actually conversing and there's not a problem for them when they're well versed. But still is that if you can't, if it's better, if you're not well versed and you're not proficient at it, then better to keep the eyes closed and try and actually do the amal in that way. And if finding it difficult to concentrate, what we always say is think of one's guide, one's teacher, think of them, and that will help in that concentration as well. Okay, one indication is that you're not able to, when you're starting and you're not concentrating, it's all about, that's why I think Dr. Shalom once also said is at least on this day when you know you're going to be doing as a collective gathering, all throughout the day, try to refrain from any sinful activities. If you're normally doing those sins, try to reduce. If you're normally not, if it's an adat that you're doing try your best to reduce the amount and try your best to reduce the interaction of dunya. Obviously, you have to go to work is work, but try to reduce the amount of interaction that you do so that then it'll help you when you come to practice in a collective way. Collectively. Is that it? You're going to ask a question? So one of the Mashaykhs once said that you see in these gatherings there are many blessings. I'm not talking about things, but when you come to the gathering of Mashaykhs, is that there are many blessings, but if one actually knew what they were doing, the Mashaykhs were doing, we really would never leave the gathering, would never leave, and will say, please keep us here. Would never leave. But once the Mashayikh, they said once is that, one of the guys, they said that, how often do we have to purify you? Spiritually, the Mashayikh are cleansing and purifying. Here's us trying to, they say again, is that here's with our own faculties and abilities, like you're saying, I'm trying to imagine the colors, and then I'm trying to cleanse myself, and then Alhamdulillah you're doing, but really that's by their own spiritual guides. The reality is that they're the ones who are cleansing by the Fazl grace of Allah. They're cleansing you just by the spiritual presence. Is that automatically, it's as if you're in like such instant cleansing that they can do just by seeing them. Your whole things can get, your lataifs, your spirit, everything can get washed away instantly. But the thing is that what's happening is that because we don't have that faculty, or we don't actually refrain from sinning, or we're not actually following the course as such properly, the moment we step out, the moment we go to our homes, again that dirt and that filth and the latayas, the cleansing that you've done through your own efforts, and also by the barakah and the blessings of the Mashayikh, imagine that you've been cleansed from those latayas have been cleansed. But what happens is when we get back to our normal routine, throughout the week, if we're not cleansing and practicing, it gets dirty again, it gets filthy. So what the Mashayikh said is that, how often do we have to purify you? Do we have to purify you? Not yourself, but us, we have to purify you. If you think, I say many people, like one of our brothers there here as well, they were saying last week is that, I struggle a lot, never be deluded, because Mashayikh have made it clear that if you think that you can have ascension, and it's something for me, yourself, myself, yourself, my dear brothers and sisters and elders who are listening at home as well, is that really reflect on what's been said and what the Mashayikh used to say, is that if you think that you can have ascension without tazkiyah, if we are, for example, trying to do the ascension, but we've completely left out tazkiyah, sheets, amals, dhikr, all these things, we've completely left it. And now we are for example, thinking that we have ascension, we have tazkiyah. If you think that if you think that you can have ascension without tazkiyah, then you are completely deluded. Completely deluded. You've lost your mindset or some sort. Why? It's because it is through the light and fairs of these blessed Mashayikh, through their light, it's their borrowed light, it's their borrowed fairs, that me and you are only seeing the reflection of the spiritual world, of the unseen world. These are reflections. That we're experiencing a reflection of the unseen world, but it's through their blessing that we, for example, we are able to see, we're able to hear, we're able to converse. It's through them. But then you'll hear brothers who are saying, I used to see, but now it's getting difficult because we've lost the process of tazkiyah. Brothers and sisters, the more and more that you become more proficient in terms of the fact that you become grounded in the tariq, you're being established in the tariq, you're getting responsibilities. Don't lose the aspect of why we come here and what we're here for. Don't lose that. As high members of whatever you become, of teachers, as satis as you become, teachers, da'is you become, fundamentally, tazkiyah is necessity for every single one of us. And if we don't do those amals, if we don't carry out those deeds, like I say as well, what we said, is that eventually you will see that will affect us in our performance of whatever responsibility we've been given, whatever duty that we've been given, whatever task we've been given, and it will hinder us on our journey. It will then, you'll see the performance level of our spiritual journey also declining as well. It's a relationship, it's a more tazkiyah, alhamdulillah, access to ascension. Less tazkiyah, you're relying on fadl. We always do anyway. It's the further of Allah, but these are borrowed fares and borrowed lights. And eventually, if you're not lighting up your own candle, it will go. Then he was said is that, okay, we are now, alhamdulillah, we've ascended, alhamdulillah, we're seeing, how can we do qadr of this? How do we do qadr of this blessing, of seeing even those reflections even? It's not reality. There's once Mashayikh said is that these visions that you're seeing is like, there are 7 levels of reflections. So you've seen a vision, and we've taken this as it, but there is still reflections of whom the Mashayikh, and what's happening, there are 7 different levels. So until you, so perhaps then you're not going to be really advanced as such. Anyhow, how do we do qadr of this? How can we do qadr? Is that of what? Is that how can we do qadr of these blessings and being with the Hazab and the path of our teacher? Many of us, we are very, alhamdulillah, you brothers have great love for Hazab. I wish I had those sort of levels as well, but the love and the importance and significance that you show is that how do we really do qadr of that, is that of Hazrat Sahab, and many people will say that if we didn't have tariqah, if we didn't have a sheikh, if we didn't have a guide, we'll be nothing, we'll be lost. Bilkul, we'll be lost. How can we do a qadr? Mashayikh simply have said, they said that follow, to do a qadr of one's teacher, to do a qadr of one's guide, of one path, of the three that you're following. Follow upon the teachings and act upon it yourself. Once we actually really, reality is that it's like they're telling us here, there's some water. What I want you to do is that, listen, I've gone to the well of the nearness and pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've got you this water now. What I'd really like for you to do is drink it and benefit and use the energy from this to go to the well yourself. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Is everybody understanding? So they have gone to the well, and what they said is that here's the water, take it, drink it, use the energy from the well, or the water of the well of nearest and close and pleasure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you then go yourself and try to take others as well with you. What we are doing is we are saying how beautiful this water is. And then we're going to detail this water, what can it do? It will grant us nearness and pleasure, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How wonderful this water is. Look how honorable this water is. Who's given us this water? It's amazing, but we're not drinking it ourselves. We're not drinking it. And that's what's happened with the brothers who are established. I'm talking about myself, it is that if we're established and we're on certain duties and positions, we've now lost track of drinking and we're just talking about the water. We ourselves are not free from tazkiyah. We need it more than anything else and anyone else. Why? It's because if we don't drink, what will happen? We will also die, spiritual death. And you'll be carrying out tasks, but the very thing that you're preaching, the very thing that we're trying to sell to others, give to others, we ourselves are not drinking and we're dying, but we're trying to give the water to others. Is the concept, principle is save yourself first. Drink it yourself. Benefit yourself. And that's what we're forgetting. And this is, please don't take it as though this is an admonition like this. I'm just giving you a simple reminder for myself and yourself, really. Is don't forget that just because how far you've become and how lofty you become and what positions you have got, what tasks you've been assigned, we are not purified and we need tazkiyah. And if somebody does point out that you need tazkiyah, don't get upset, thank them, kiss them. Say yes, definitely. Don't ever lose sight of that. Don't ever lose sight of the fact that you need tazkiyah. We are in need of it. Ask yourself is that how far and how long. Unfortunately, our brother by Naveed every week is telling us that those people. The reason why people are not going there to share the success is because they're not being successful. By Naveed every week, Monday कह रहे that जिन लोगों successful हो रहे हैं कैसे ticket. So one of the reasons why is that he's saying those people who are successful, then do come and please and share your success. The reason why he's having very low turnout is because we're all failing. We're not succeeding. We're not ticking. We're not doing our amals. We're not actually doing our stuff. So we're embarrassed to come and say, yeah, I can tell you what it is, yes I do. Because haqiqatan is what's happened. And every single one of us are feeling that. The thing is not to get upset about it, is get up and start doing. Have that result, because just like Bible was saying at the time of death, is that when do you want to wait to time of death? It might be too late then. But we know that we have to make that effort soon. Rather than saying that effort will be tomorrow or next year or when things are become good, do it now. Same level of energy that you're going to use that tomorrow or that week or that month, you have to do it now anyway. And you have to do it then anyway. So just do it now. And then that'll help you, inshallah. Anyway, but I just, inshallah, that was just aside. Just give it to someone's brothers. Is there brother Kamara, is it? Umar, is it? Yeah, brother Umar.
During the Lataif cleansing process, I could feel as though Azza was present with us, and then after the transfer, I found the Blessed Teacher and asked for forgiveness for shortcomings on my behalf, anything that I've not done that they asked me to do. And then they said to me, come with me. And then we went towards the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabar. Yourself was present, and another Ustad was also present with us. And we went inside, and as the Sahib said, to give salam, which I did. And then I stayed inside there for a while, in and out, thoughts. But I wanted to converse with the teacher, but I wasn't able to do that, and that's about it.
So you want to converse with the Hazrat Sahib, yes?
I wanted to ask them for some advice from the Siha.
Inshallah, as I think the reason why, one of the reasons, because you got the nasiha. The nasiha which has been mentioned is that whatever you wanted to ask, maybe it's a personal matter, you got nasihas from all those nasihas that they're giving you in the past, in form of the bayanats and things. If you hear that the nasiha is there, but also you can get the nasiha like whatever has been said today, and also you can also get the nasiha from any of the brothers that you sit with them if there's something which is of a private nature. But if it's regarding the path, that nasiha has been given, inshallah. So don't worry about that. If you listen to what has been said, inshallah. But inshallah. You see, today, unfortunately, this is what you have with me, so there's no hiding from me. So.
Oh, did it last week?
This is why I want to hear it again, so it motivates.
Bismillah. After the transfer, found as a Sahib by yourself is sat, and they were wearing cream clothes, black Imam Sharif, and I went towards them, gave salam, thanked them for calling me, and I was just going to mention to a Sahib, to the nearest meeting, take us with yourself. Next minute, they grabbed my hand and we ended up in Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabar Mazar. It was daytime, and gave salam outside the Mazar Sharif and kept giving salam there. Then the door opened as a Sahib went inside. They gave me shara and all with their hand. So come inside. So went inside, sat down at the feet of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bag. As a Sahib was sat usually where they sit. So just waited there, gave salam, waited for, like you mentioned last week, see if get any nasir from Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bag. So I mentioned to the nearest meaning any nasir for this sinful servant, and it was inspired. They mentioned, do not leave my beloved Ahmad the Bag, stay with them no matter what, never leave their majlis. Look how much they are doing for the deen, traveling day and night. Help them wherever you can, financially, or even do dua for them. Whatever you can do your bit. And it was so I was a bit emotional when they mentioned these things. They are like working day and night for the ummah. They are so concerned. You should have that concern too. So after that, I just sat there for a bit. Then I was just going to do MURAQBA dua, and they inspired me again. They said, go to the beloved Prophet ﷺ, and it's Friday night, so give Durood Islam there. So just sat outside the Mazar Sharif, in the courtyard where the Bakki is behind me. Just sending Durood Islam there, that's all.
MashaAllah, blessed, and this is the beauty of the fact that moments of interaction that you're saying you're feeling the emotion. This is what we live for, really, in terms of that closeness. By those words, this is the beauty of the words of the awliya and salihin, is that it has such profound effect upon your heart. Me and you are hearing it, is not. It should have a little bit of effect upon you, but more effect is upon the person who's hearing you, because he understands the exact emotions and the way they said it and the way they articulated, and the connection. He feels more of a connection with them as well, and with one's God. It's something that money can actually buy. You cannot get it in this thing whatsoever. And what they said about this, inshallah, just try that tonight. Inshallah, do that about thinking of going to the Medina Sharif and the courtyard and reciting Durood Salam. Inshallah, there is special blessing there for you, inshallah. Your cousin started it, so I can't stop it now. Yes, go ahead.
Just a bit confused. Is it sometimes it's just a bit confused. Is it me making it up? Was it my nafs, or was it Allah knows best? So the message and all that?
The message is fine, inshallah.
Okay.
Inspiration is through that, is fine. So, is this going to be another person? Can I ask a question? Next one, Brother Afzal, are you going to be doing that as well? No. Tafaddal, Afzal.
After the point of transfer, I saw her sub, and they were set where Ustad Kaisi sat. They were dressed in white, and they had a black chadar around their head. So I went over, and I sought ijazat to sit before them. And as I sat down, I apologized for my shortcomings and my sins. And they looked at me and smiled. And then they stood up. As they stood up, I immediately stood up with them, and I embraced them, and I hugged them, and I kissed their hand. Then the scene changed, and we went to Bab al-Fatu, and we were outside the courtyard of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bag Mazar. And then I lost a bit of concentration, and then I appeared there again, and Hissa wasn't there. But the door was open, so I sought ijazat to come inside. Permission was given, and as I entered, I saw the brothers that were from Bangladesh, Ustad Shah Alam, and the other brothers with them. And Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bag was embracing them all and giving them gifts of chadars and stuff like that. In the corner, I could see a sab, and they had a beautiful smile. Their mouth was open. You could see their teeth sparkling white. And then the scene changed, and I was taken above the earth, and it was dark. but there was white patches over certain places, and there were more places getting illuminated. So I asked her, Sab, what is this? And they said this is the places where the Jamaat retreats will be happening. And the more as the earth was revolving, you could see more places being lit up all around the world. And then the scene changed, and we were at the courtyard of Medina Sharif, and giving Durood and Salam there. And then the Jali Mubarak started to open, and then at that time, yourself mentioned about coming back, so I seeked ijazat and came back.
MashaAllah, very blessed. But also look at the beautiful thing that those of us who actually go on Jamaas and convey them, how beloved they are to the Mashaykhs, that they're helping in conveying the message and the mission in which the same mission of the Prophet ﷺ trying to help others and help the Ummah. So how beloved they are, they get extra gifts, extra rewards. And you've been showing about different places throughout the world. One of the indications that we can get from there is that you should also try to participate and go on one of those blessed trips, and also give your name, and also try to actually go to one of those places as well and partake and be blessed as well to convey the message as well, inshallah. I know this person who's hiding behind the pillar, but I think it's about enough time now. We've spent quite sufficient, so we'll stop here. That's something which is urgently that you want to relate, otherwise inshallah we'll stop here. Yeah, Brother Umar.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This whilst doing the amals, it was though the Hasab was in front of me here, like directly opposite, and there was, you're very young, they had a long black beard, you're nicely cut, they had the Imam Sharif on, you're clean clothes, mashallah. And then from there what happened was, it was as though that we was in a desert, and then Hasab got 4 concrete logs and a wood thing, so a wood sort of plank to go over them, and then they started to sort of pull that as, and it was like a cart, and then 1 or 2 brothers came to sort of first of all, as Hassan mentioned, that first of all sit on the cart, and then from there then you can help move the wooden logs forward, and so we can start to move. So throughout the desert, slowly but surely, these handful, these select brothers were not only helping Hasab to move the logs, to move the wooden plank. Then there was also thinking of new ways to improve that, and Hasab was holding the string, a rope, and as he was holding the rope, Hasab mentioned that now it's time for the brothers to also hold ropes and push this cart forward. So as your time lapsed, there was moving from the desert into more cooler areas, and at this point more and more brothers were coming. Again, the deed was to sit on to inside the cart, and then slowly but surely then to help move the cart forward. And now we was in this area now, so we've come through the desert at this point, and now it's in a different sort of weather, like there's a monsoon arising, and now the cart is full. It's been innovated to some extent, and Hasab's pulling the cart forward in the direction that they want to take this cart, and the brothers are now also behind Hasab on the sides, pulling forward. And then at this point, as most of the brothers were pulling it forward, 1 or 2 brothers were pulling it either left or right, and this was causing strain to Hasab, and after a while that Hasab mentioned that what are these your brothers doing? And then basically it was a rhetorical question that what are these your brothers doing? Then from there, again, one or two brothers started to go in opposite directions, and the cart was not moving as fast. And again, more effort was needed, not only from Hassab, but then they also the brothers that wanted to go in the same direction as Hassab, so they had to then push that little bit extra. And then from there, while the cart is now as a proper structure, solid base. And then what happened was Hassab mentioned that those brothers who are pulling in the same direction have a greater responsibility, that they now not only are they're pulling in the right direction, is that they are trying to ward off harm coming to the cart. So then when that occurred, that again the brothers who was pulling in the same direction was also keeping a lookout, making sure that no harm comes to the people in the cart. But now, what was happening is that not only the brothers who was pulling either left or right, or even some going completely backwards, is that they was loosening the rope, and there was going back into the cart itself, and they had cushions there, and again the cart was going slower, and more effort was needed from Hassab and the brothers who were pulling in the same direction. And then as this is occurring, more and more brothers are either going left or right or behind or sitting in the car, and there's only a handful of selected brothers that was actually pulling now even harder and harder to go in the same direction, and also look out for any harm that's coming inside to the cart. And while a few people who were sat inside was sort of pointing fingers and mentioning other things. And then from there we were outside Medina Sharif to the nearest meaning, and at this point Hassab mentioned that each at the Hajj time we only stop at the Hajj time, and that the Hajj time is that to make a dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes his cart in the right direction and with everyone on it, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates ease, not for me but for the people that are behind me, because they're leading it in the direction. And then from there what happened is that while this was outside Medina Sharif, because a few brothers who was not only had one rope, but a few brothers had 10 ropes. Some brothers had 15 ropes that they carrying, and not only that, they was looking out for the security. There was then also giving their own shoes to Hassab, because Hassab's shoes were torn. There was torn shoes. The clothes ended up their bits were torn. There was only covering the sattar to some extent. There was only covering the sattar, and from there the hands were torn with so much rope. So the brothers were sacrificing the sandals for Hassab. There was even saying the Hassab that you take ours, the Hassab that we can stitch you gloves out of our clothes. Please take it. And we had to sort of really plead with Hassab to take it. And then they mentioned there that and then one brother asked Hassab, where do you see this cart going? We just want to pull it in the same direction as yourself. And they mentioned that we see this cart, and we want this cart to go to every town and every village across the whole world, from Antarctica to the equator, and no place should be left untouched. And then they mentioned that and then what happened was those brothers that was pulling with so many ropes, there was dirty, bruised, and fatigued, and Hassab said that just to include everyone in it, they mentioned that everyone go for a shower just before we get into Medina Sharif. And now, as soon as we've entered Medina Sharif, and now even when the Prophet ﷺ you came and you saw each and every brother. First it started off with Hasab, and those brothers who the Prophet ﷺ hugged, and there was aching, the aches actually turned into some form of your relief, and there was you're really happy, even though the aching and Prophet ﷺ's hugging them, they were still really they're happy, they felt no pain. And then the Prophet ﷺ took me to one side and they asked that, how is Hasab? And I mentioned the journey, and they got extremely angry. They got extremely angry, and they summoned the brothers next, and they was next to a tree. They summoned the brothers, and they was infuriated. And those brothers who was they're pushing so many ropes. There was there was close to Hasab, like your 2 fingers yet. And then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that each that these brothers, the first Hasab stand up, and then these brothers, and then Prophet ﷺ mentioned that why did all you lot even your shower when you're not even dirty, or you're not put any effort in as such. Not only that you've hindered. Not only that, but you've hindered as you've hindered the message as such. Is that just look at their hands, you look at their face, they still try to put a smile on, they still try to accommodate us, they try to accommodate everyone. And what can you not see? Just because you are sat here in comfort, in your nice clothes, you think you're okay, in your comfort zones and stuff, and then your Prophet ﷺ mentioned that these select your brothers, these your group of 10, is that I take oath, not only now but on the day of judgment, that the tazkiyah is in my hands to the nearest meaning, that not only your tazkiyah but I take your control of the full your lives and workings and your relationships. And then at that point it was only then after that the brothers that was there was thinking of burning the cushions, and you're starting to work. And then one brother then went over to Hasab, and even the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that, Prophet ﷺ, that there's I've not even done anything to deserve any of this. I've not helped in any way as such, and they mentioned that don't worry, whatever it is that this is the correct mindset to have, but we know better. We know what it is, and then and then from there it was the Prophet ﷺ was still really angry, and then from there the vision started to fade away.
The 4 concrete pillars, and these are the objectives of the path, and the tradition is actual path and the message, in which it's a long vision, it's a long thing, but the gist of it is that basically that the message from internal and externally, sometimes the environment will be conducive for the message to travel, sometimes it won't be conducive. Sometimes internally, the people inside, the people who are within, will be conducive in terms of actually helping, or sometimes they can also be hindrances as well. All this being said is that I try to be of the people who help convey the message and keep it on track, irrespective of whatever conditions, from desert to monsoon to whatever it goes, so that because the path and the message should always continuously go to all paths, and to be of support, to try and be a support to make sure that if we are in the crowd, if we are those who are actually conveying the message, or we're within the trying to help, be of the people supporters, and not be of those people who are actually hinder the message. And by being supporters of the message, in other words, is that if you support one's teacher, help and support one's teacher and convey the message, you are supporting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in terms of conveying the message. This is, and if, in other words, that if the mashayikh, if one's teacher becomes happy, you are actually you are actually Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is becoming pleased with you as well. And likewise is that if you actually disobey and try to actually not help, and actually then obviously Rasulullah will be displeased because ultimately that is the message. So it's very long, but the gist of it is this: is that it's quite fairly understandable as well. So sometimes some bits where they don't need interpretation. In other words, that be of the people who help support the mission and the message and supporting the teacher, and not of those people who actually hinder. And secondly is that whatever conditions you come upon, whether it's favorable for you, whatever stage or condition that you come across externally, i.e. I'm feeling good today, or there's a financial difficulty, or this difficult, that difficult, doesn't matter. Help and support wherever you can. In whatever way, irrespective if people are accepting, not accepting, people are rejecting, you keep on carrying on, making sure that the message keeps on carries on, and the direction in which the teacher wants you to take it through, not through however way we want it. That's the left and right and opinions in here. However way the teacher wants to actually the message to go. That's ultimately the gist of the vision. There's very grave consequences that we really, myself and yourself, really don't understand sometimes. But we should really sometimes take heed of. These are the compassion of our blessed teacher and the Mashayikh, that they rarely show these or manifest this whatsoever. So one should try to be with the people of support and help in the message and the mission, rather than actually people who are hindering. If there's anything else, otherwise we shall stop here. Allah Ta'ala bless you for coming, and hopefully we shall have Dr. Shalom back for us for next week, and you can have a rest from hiding behind the pillars and everything, so you can come out from there with the scene. Okay, Jazakallah. Look at